Hey everyone, in this video, I want to give Alfred a try. I haven't tried it. The tool that I use all the time is Raycast, but this is not going to be like my regular videos. I'm not going to be doing this myself. I have not installed Alfred. I don't know if I will install it or not, but I have a special guest today, which is Roman, and he's going to be what we're going to be sharing how each one of us uses each one of the tools, Raycast and Alfred, so it helps people and see which tool they like the best. So, Roman, how's it going, man?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, we've been planning this call for a couple of weeks, but it was kind of hard to find the time slot that will work best for two of us. So I'm glad that we finally doing this.
Yeah, we have been planning it for like 2 weeks, maybe, right? A little bit
Maybe
more.
even more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But life gets in the way. I get it, you know. You have a
yeah,
family, I have a family, kids, house, work, all that stuff. So
yeah,
I'm glad you're here. Thank you
yeah,
for being here.
yeah. I'm glad to be here too.
Yeah. All right. So the goal of the video, like I said, is just to show how each other use the tool and give people ideas. So I'm gonna be sharing my screen. You're gonna be sharing your screen and sharing tips and all that. But before we get started, you know, with all that, I would like to know you a little bit better. Well, and so that people that are watching this video
Okay.
know
Yeah,
who is talking, right? So would you mind sharing just who you are and where people can
yeah,
find you?
yeah. So like my main occupation or the main stuff that I'm doing for a lot of the years actually, I'm a software engineer and engineering manager. So I'm doing this for, I guess, around 20 years, something like this. The engineering manager role, I'm doing this for about maybe 5 years. But yeah, I'm still doing a lot of the hands-on stuff. I'm still do code. And yeah, this is my main work. I used to be a backend engineer like very long time ago. Then I switched to iOS, macOS development, and this is actually connected to one of your questions about the operating system. I will talk about this a little bit before. Most of the time I spend developing multimedia editing apps, like vector-based editing tools, photo editors, stuff like image video processing. Some of them were connected with machine learning running on the device. So this is what I do. Right now, I'm kind of getting back to where I started my career and getting back to the modern backend development again. In terms of where you can find me, I think the main place where you can find me is my YouTube channel. So I have the YouTube channel where I'm posting the videos uh, about stuff I'm doing, about some coding projects and things I think about the tech industry and software development in general. So you can find me on the YouTube. I also have the Substack page I started recently, but I'm not, constant on writing there. Also, it's a mix of everything right now, so I'm kind of use it mostly as a place to test the ideas and test the scripts and just, put something finished online. And actually, some of the videos I were testing as the article before, and then I actually recorded the video. I
Mm.
don't have X or Twitter. I mean, I used to have them, but I just don't use it a lot. So, I mean, maybe there is an old account of mine that you can find, but I think I didn't open it for years. And also, in addition to the YouTube channel, I have a Discord server. You can find me like every day. I'm pretty quick on answering the questions and just hanging out. If you have something to share, I would love to discuss something.
Interesting. Would you mind showing your channel quickly on your
Yeah,
screen,
I think
just so
it's
people?
yeah, I think it's open. You can find it by handle. I'm not sure if it's enough to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the video description
Yeah,
anyway. Yeah,
so I
I'm
have a
gonna
bunch
leave
of
it there.
videos, yeah, from for various topics. Um, I had series of the live coding series. For example, when I wanted to learn Go and neural networks from scratch, I just decided that I'm going to implement it using these two things. So if you would like to check it, I will be very glad. I mean, all of the links actually placed in the channel description, but yeah.
Okay, great. And why did you start with YouTube and when?
Oh, uh, the channel I shared with you is actually the second channel. The first channel I started almost 2 years ago. I had to bury it because I made lots of the mistakes trying to promote it, and at some point as I realized that it seems like YouTube just buried it somewhere in the
Mm-hmm.
deepest shallow of the database. So I
Uh-huh.
kind of started from the scratch.
Mm-hmm.
So this YouTube channel is almost a year. I think I started it June previous year. So it started from the live coding series, and then I kind of took some of the videos that I more or less liked from my main channel and put it there. So it's like right now it's a combination of the both. Why I started YouTube channel? I've been thinking about this for actually a long time, but I didn't have enough courage to start it. And then I just decided, okay, if I won't start it, it won't happen at all. And I
Mm-hmm.
had a few things in mind that, before I actually started the YouTube channel, just wrote them down. The first thing was to, speak out loud on the things about the tech industry and software development that, I see some bad patterns, and I would like to confront them. I
Mm-hmm.
I know some things that I know I can share with other people. And the last thing, which is I think the most interesting, is to find the people I would like to connect with. So I think that in this one particular, the main breakpoint happened when I created the Discord server, and people started to join
Mm-hmm.
Discord server. So, for example, ratio between the people who subscribe to me, people who watches the video, and people who actually join the Discord server is, I guess, pretty low. But maybe it's a low for some people, but for me, it's like, when the first person joined the Discord server, it was like, I was very surprised in a good way that it happened. And then
Uh-huh.
people joined more and more. It's actually, for me, it was a very good achievement because I actually didn't thought it could happen. Uh, so yeah, this is why I'm continue, even that my channel is pretty small still. I'm still doing this because I'm, in the position where it just doesn't make sense not to do this anymore. So I'm kind of get used to just making the videos, publish them, even that nobody's watching them. I still believe that it makes sense to do them.
Yeah. Good. And mainly sharing stuff with others, like you said, that's very important. And
Yeah,
I'm glad you took the call and did it, you know. You just start and then you just continue and continue. It's hard. It's a lot of work, but
yeah,
I'm glad to see your videos, man. I'm subscribed, by the way. So if anyone's watching and is not subscribed yet, go and uh, go and do so.
yeah.
And
The the interesting thing about the YouTube channel, even that my channel is kind of mostly focused on the tech and software development, it kind of helped me to uh, deal with some of the things I was, facing in the past. For example, for me it was just impossible to watch and hear myself on the video recordings. Like when somebody records me,
mm-hmm,
then after you spend like tens of hours editing yourself in something like Final Cut Pro, you
mm-hmm.
just get used to it and you just accept yourself. So
Uh-huh.
that was a very interesting. So the interesting side effect of having the YouTube channel is I don't have a big YouTube channel, but I have to learn more about myself, which is a very interesting outcome that I didn't expect it will happen.
Yeah, that's a really good point. A lot of people ask me like, you shouldn't have your hand. Why does my camera look like this though? I don't know. It's
Yeah,
not focusing my keyboard correctly right now. It looks weird. Okay, but yeah, a lot of people tell me that like, why don't you put your camera? I don't know. I don't like even that my wife takes pictures of me. I get nervous and I get all I don't know. But I will.
yeah.
I will eventually have to do it and I
I
will get used
I
to it, I
felt the
guess.
same. Because especially for some time I used to be a commercial photographer, so for me it's way more comfortable to be behind the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So not to be in
Yeah.
front of the camera, be the person who actually takes the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very uncomfortable, changing this role and putting myself before the camera. So
Mm,
yeah, that was a very interesting change I experienced.
interesting. All right. Thanks for sharing all that, Roman. And let's move
Yep,
on to your OS. What is the OS that
yep,
you decided to go with, the primary one, and
yep.
why did you choose
Uh,
that one?
yeah, we'll try to make it short, but in general, I'm using the macOS for more than 10 years. Partially, I mean, there were few things that happened that led me to the macOS. So when I was in university, I used Windows because I've been using Windows before. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, on the my parents' computer there was only Windows. I saw once in macOS on the parents' friend's computer. He actually had a Macintosh, uh, like long time ago, and that
Mm-hmm.
was the first and the only one I actually saw the macOS, and it was very interesting. Then during the university, I actually tried to use Linux for some time because one of the students showed me that, hey, there is not only the Windows. And back then, I already had a laptop that I could, mess and break it. So I
Mm-hmm.
installed Linux and I've been living with Linux for some time. But the problem that we had to do all of the, code in the university using like
Windows
Microsoft
apps.
.NET
Yeah.
stuff, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Delphi. So I had, and it was very hard back then to use these technologies on the Linux.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get back. And probably till the end of the university, I heard that there is something that is called Hackintosh, which is a
Mm-hmm.
way to tweak macOS to install it on the normal hardware. And I kind of was lucky back then because I had a personal computer at home that had Intel and the NVIDIA card, which was like a default hardware back then for the Mac, like for the desktop Macs. So
Mm-hmm.
I took that path and tried to actually run the macOS. It forced me to learn a lot about the macOS itself because I had to tweak many things. Although there were some prepared distributions to make the Hackintosh happen, I still need to. At some point, I had to change the audio driver for my sound card. And after I don't know tens failed attempts to make it happen, I actually managed to run Hackintosh, and I was living in this setup for almost 2 years. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been doing some coding. I even played video games back then. So there
Uh-huh.
were so there were some games available, like World of Warcraft was available on the Apple. And then I managed to, after my first couple of jobs, I managed to save some money and actually buy my first MacBook Air. And since then, I changed the primary OS to actually macOS, and this is how it is. One of the reasons why I mean, there are multiple reasons why I stick with this one, but I do a lot of the iOS macOS development. You cannot do it
Yeah.
without Apple's hardware. Second, for me personally, it's a very good combination of Unix way with command line, lots of the available uh, CLI programs, nice terminal experience, and having good UI application. So like I can be in two mode, let's put it like this. So when I'm in developer mode, I'm using like keyboard all the time, using the terminal, lots of the applications dedicated to this. But at some point I turn myself into photographer or videographer and using
Mm,
mouse most of the time, some UI applications. So for me it's a very good combination of both. I'm not saying that this is the ideal operating system like some people, but I think it's a very good combination. I would say the only downside is the cost of the hardware because, uh, yeah, usually on average the hardware for the Apple is above average, and you
yeah.
need to pay for this. But another thing that my whole family, because of me, uses all of the iPhones, iPads. We have a family account on the iCloud,
Uh-huh.
so I mean, it would be very hard for me to move away from the Apple at this point. It's not
Oh.
that I want,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, like all of the family members just enjoy using it. So yeah, why not?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, you're used to it already, so it's difficult to move to
Yeah,
something else. And do you still use Windows? Do you hate Windows?
I don't hate Windows. I used to work on the Windows because I was a backend engineer, and we've been using specifically the Microsoft stack, like .NET, all of this stuff. I even managed to manage the Windows servers on the
Mm-hmm.
first job. So it's not like I don't like it. I believe the every operating system has its own purposes. Uh, Personally, I just like macOS more, like the ecosystem and the combination. But if I will need to do something that will require using Windows, then I will install Windows and use it.
Yeah,
Um, Same. I don't have the hardware to run Windows, but from time to time I just install it on something like VirtualBox or Parallels back then. I had the license back then, and yeah, just install any Windows applications that I need to use and just use it.
when you need it. Yeah,
I have the same attitude to Linux. For example, at work, we use Linux all the time because it's the go-to
server.
operating system
Yeah,
for the servers.
yeah,
I'm not sure if I'm going to use the Linux desktop
desktop.
because
Yeah,
I used Ubuntu back then. Uh, but again, the problem was the combination of the software that I want to use. So for me, this is how the macOS was my choice. Maybe someday I will move fully to Linux, but I don't see this coming right now, at least for the personal usage.
I see. And which distribution do you like the most? Linux on servers. I only use it on servers too.
Yeah, I think we're using the Debian,
Debian.
what's called the distroless Debian to run all of our stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
think something like this, because it's the go-to or kind of like the advised thing to use for the Go development right now. I
Oh.
mean, to run Go programs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the Ubuntu is pretty popular. We're using, I think, Ubuntu is used in many places. For example, if you need to do some stuff for the CI, like the GitHub Actions and stuff, usually you just take the Ubuntu latest and do stuff. But I'm not an expert in Linux, on the level that I would say, okay, this distribution is better for this or this one for this. I'm not that good. So for me, I'm, very uh, on the very basic usage in that case. So
Okay, I
usually
see.
what so usually I use Linux via Docker containers
Mm-hmm.
that I wrap stuff into, and that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I use Debian. That is my distribution of choice. All of my different virtual machines, they run Debian. No GUI,
Okay.
just that you know uh, terminal. I just manage everything
Yeah.
to SSH. So yeah, has been working really great for me the last few years. All right. So moving on then to the next. What's the IDE that you decide to choose, or text editor
Okay.
that you decide to choose, and why?
Okay. So there are two things here. The first one is when I have an option, uh, and right now I'm using neovim. I think the my journey to use, like neovim or Vim started about 2 years ago, but um, I actually started to use it way more last year when I started to implement this neural networks from scratch series.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this is when I actually, because at first I've been using Vim, then I decided to go with the NeoVim. I used Lazy Git as the distribution, and I started to stack things on top. And
Mm-hmm.
right now, for everything apart Apple development, I use NeoVim, like for everything else. So, for example, if there is something I need to do for our backends or for our infrastructure or for the personal projects, NeoVim is my go-to choice. Uh, but for the Apple development, it's not like you have an option. There is an xcode. There are ways to make it possible to implement, for example, iOS, macOS applications in the neovim, but it works really bad, not because of the neovim, but because how you interact with the source kit, which is the what's called private LSP for Clang from the Apple. But if you want to implement actual iOS application, it's much, much more complicated, unfortunately. So I have two right now. So for
Oh,
everything else, I can use the neovim. If I cannot use neovim, I have to use xcode, which has pros and cons.
but you have to be jumping between the two of them, right?
Yeah,
Xcode for like the macOS related stuff, and neovim for
yeah,
everything else, basically.
yeah.
Correct?
For everything else, I mean, I tried to. I mean, for the application that I'm, a personal application that I'm working on right now, I actually can. Uh, I mean, I made a setup. There is a cool plugin that is called xcode build.nvim that allows integration of the xcode projects within the neovim. But I don't know, for some reasons, even for the small project, the LSP works really bad. But if you open the xcode, the same LSP works good. So I'm not sure why it's like this for myself. So I just had to switch back for the xcode for everything that is Swift and Apple related. But yeah, fortunately for everything else, I can use neovim with all of the plugins that we have in the ecosystem.
Wonderful. Okay. And do you use a window manager on macOS or you
Yeah.
don't?
Recently, I think maybe 2 months ago, I started to use the aerospace,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because I think that John in the previous video made the same statement that I don't have to disable system integrity protection for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So the same aerospace, it has some bugs. Sometimes it just freezes and I have to restart it. And sometimes it works badly with some applications. Like for example, Clean My Mac is just shaking all the time. Not sure
Oh.
why, but they have a very weird, screen frame,
Mm-hmm.
window frame. So probably that's an issue. But I'm fine. The main thing that why I'm decided to use this is that I can put a specific application to the specific workspace, but sometimes I need the split. So in some cases, and I like the fact that it auto layouts when I open in a new window or opening a new application in the same place,
Mm-hmm.
and it all does automatically, so I don't have to worry about this. But I would say my usage of it is very simple and straightforward because I'm trying to have one application at the same time at the screen.
Okay. And why don't you okay, that's what I ended up with, one application on the screen at a time. And that's why I use yabai in stack mode, because you want the
Mm-hmm.
application to occupy the entire screen. It does that. You don't have to worry about moving applications to different desktops and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why well, I guess you have to use the split sometime for web development, is that right?
Not for the web development, but just for some things. Right now, I don't know, I need to check some data, or for example, when I edit videos, I just open the Finder to import. I mean, it just happens occasionally. It's not
Mm.
often, but yeah, mostly for, yeah, I cannot make a actual, a rule why it happens, but it just happens from time to time that I need a split screen.
Oh, because I used Yabai many years for in the work computer, right? And I couldn't
Mm,
disable zip there. It was not possible because I couldn't
yeah,
access the firmware for the computer. And it worked fine, even if I didn't disable zip, right? But
mm,
I kept all the applications on the same desktop. I was not moving stuff to
mm.
different desktops and all
Okay.
that. Maybe my usage is really basic and that's why it worked. Because I hear that I don't know, people have issues with it sometimes if they don't disable zip. But the only thing that didn't
Okay.
work is transparency, right? But other than that, I think it
Mm,
works
I
fine.
don't need it. Okay. Yeah, maybe I will give it a try, because as I understand, yabai is way more stable. And for example, like in the setup right now that I'm using, I have two screen. I'm usually using only one monitor. Right now for the recording, I have to use the second one. And aerospace works a bit weird when you have two monitors and you have
Mhm.
different workspaces on the different monitors. So a little bit clunky. But it's good that there is an alternative for this one.
Oh,
But
the same thing with your buy. If you have multiple monitors, I don't use two monitors. The only time that I use two is when I'm doing this, right? Because I need to
mhm,
see another screen. But
yeah.
regularly, only use one screen at a time. But when I use two, I don't even know how your bike works in two monitors because, but I'm not sure if it
Yeah,
works well or not.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. And what terminal application do you use?
Currently, I'm using Kitty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, Before, I've been using Alacrity. Before then, I was using the iTerm. And the reason why I moved to Kitty, basically only one, it supports how it's called ligatures. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this when you have two symbols together, that's, for example, if you have dash and a bracket, it transforms into a different symbol.
This one.
Yes, this one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, Alacrity cannot support this. I liked the fact that Alacrity forces you to use tmux. This is actually how I ended up using tmux.
Oh, okay. Because you
Because
didn't have tabs.
yeah, because we didn't have tabs, but I like the way that it doesn't use the tabs. I mean the macOS tabs, because sometimes it's they are not predictable how they work, I would say. I know Kitty has tabs, I mean, integrated into macOS, but I just disabled them and I always use the same approach. When I launch the Kitty, it checks if there is a tmux session, it connects to it. If it's not, then it creates it. And I do all of the, let's call it, window management of the in the terminal using tmux.
Oh, wonderful. And why haven't you migrated to I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying that people watching this have to migrate to a different terminal if the one that they have works, but everyone seems to be migrating to either Western
Yeah.
or Ghosty.
Hmm.
Why is that?
I don't know. It feels like for me, like every time there is a new terminal, people just want to try it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit delayed, I guess, in this one because I was on the iTerm for a long time, but I wasn't, you know, I didn't use terminal like this right now. So it was mostly like a side application, not the main one. I would say right now the terminal is one of the main applications that I use. And I moved to Alacrity just because I saw, I know, a video like talking about this terminal and I just decided to try it. It was pure curiosity to
Mm.
use something else.
Yep.
Um, the second one is that I started to collect all of my dot files in one place. And I'm not sure if it's possible to do this with the iTerm, but UITerm mostly UI driven in terms of the
Yeah, the
configuration.
UI.
Alacrity
Yep.
was, uh, using TOML for the configuration, and I can, for example, put everything in one place. I was searching through the GitHub to find others people configs, so I can get inspired or just steal something for my personal usage. And
Scavenging
yeah, yeah. So the only thing that forced me to migrate to the kitties was this font thing.
the ligatures. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And okay, yeah, I see. There's no reason to move to Western or Ghosty, so you just you're good with Kitty, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I use Kitty. The application that you see on the right hand side on the screen right now is Kitty. Still use it.
Hmm.
I don't have a reason that I could tell you. I prefer Kitty, Western or Ghosty. Either one works for me. There's people doing really complicated stuff with Western, like Josh changes his backgrounds programmatically and
Hmm.
all that stuff. And since it's Lua. The configuration is Lua based. You can do it, but me,
Okay.
I don't. I could work with either of those three. All right, and
Yeah.
you also mentioned tmux, right? So you do use
Correct.
tmux. Do you love tmux?
Yeah.
Do you use it every day? And why did you? Oh well, you mentioned why you started using tmux, right? But
Yeah.
how was your
I
experience
kind
with
of,
tmux?
yeah, I was kind of forced to do this at first. But I would say, again, I think most of my, CLI usage is pretty basic. So for example, I use tmux mostly to have different, how it's called, windows
Mm-hmm.
with different set of the panes.
Mm-hmm.
So I can recite them from the keyboard. I can create a new one. I can jump between them back and forth pretty easily. So for example, I have, one project on one window. It's not the window, it's I think tab
Sessions.
called session. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, Another project in a different place, and there are shortcuts to, to jump between them much
Mm-hmm.
faster.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that basically it. So for me, it's just a way to organize and put, projects and panes in some form of the group, so I can open them, leave them for some time, and that's it. Another thing why I use tmux is actually I close applications, unfortunately, accidentally. And the cool thing about the tmux session that it stores. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, you can even upgrade Kitty without losing your state of the project. So I just close Kitty, upgrade it, open it again, and it just restores it connects to the
The
running
session. Yeah.
tmux session, and I just continue to work. Previously, if I had to do some changes for the terminal, I had to close everything, do the change, restart the application, and recreate everything once again. For example, it was the case with the iTerm, which wasn't a good experience.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah, I use it the same way to manage projects and to jump between them basically. And the
Yep.
nice thing about tmux as a user, right? As a terminal user is that I can switch to Western or I can switch to Kitty or Ghosty, it doesn't matter. I just run tmux and my configuration is going to be exactly the
Yep.
same. So I don't need to learn not even a single thing about the new terminal, you know? The terminal creators don't like that because you basically don't use the terminal
Yeah.
that they worked so hard to create, right? You're just basically using tmux. So but that's what works for me. All right,
Yep.
so and the keyboard, what keyboard do you use? Do you use something special or just a regular keyboard?
For almost, I mean, once I bought the MacBook Air, and until the last October, I've been using Apple's keyboard, like the wireless or mostly from the laptop. Uh, Last October, my friend gifted me a mechanical keyboard. I think it's called Vermeer SK75. So it's a 75% keyboard. I'm not sure if it, yeah, I think
Okay, yeah,
so.
I can
This is
see
the
it.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only thing that I changed was switches.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the silent one because the one that came from the with the packaging in the box, the default one was very clicky and very loud. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, loud in a way that everyone in the apartment heard them, even with a closed door.
uh,
And because I have to type a lot, that was an issue. So I quickly took the silent one,
uh,
and yeah, since then I'm using this keyboard. It feels like I mean, we discussed it in your Discord, that it feels like it affected my wrist a bit,
mm-hmm.
uh, because these switches are not the softest one, so
Oh yeah, yeah.
it requires a bit of pressure to hit them.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, this keyboard is a bit wider than the Apple's one, so I
Mm-hmm.
had to get used to the layout. The solution is just this. I bought
Mm-hmm.
this like on Amazon. I don't know, it was the cheapest one, and it feels like the pain started to go away.
To raise your
Uh,
hands a little bit, to
yeah,
raise your palms. Oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah.
because before this I wasn't realizing it, because the Apple's keyboard is very low.
It's low. Yeah. Yeah.
But this one, so my hand was, something like this, and I started to feel a pain.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it sounds like a bad advertisement for the mechanical keyboard. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not getting younger. So,
Yeah. That is true. I have a similar problem with the Glove 80, you know. My favorite keyboard by far is, and people are gonna hate me because of this, you know, the keyboard enthusiasts, but it's the macOS keyboard, not the one that comes with the computer, because that gets warm and
mhm.
your fingers get warm, and I hate it. But the Magic Keyboard. I have two Magic Keyboards, one with
Yeah.
numbers and one without numbers. Both of them with the
Okay.
Touch ID, right? And I love it because
Oh, nice.
it's pretty low, like you said. It's pretty soft. I could type really fast. So to me, that is the best keyboard that I have ever used. I know people is gonna hate real hard on this,
Yeah.
but I had issues with my forearm because your hands on that keyboard are like this the whole time, and
Yeah.
all in a
They're pretty
weird
close.
position. Yeah, in a
Yeah.
really weird position. So it
Even
was.
on this 75% keyboard, it's wider, so arms are a bit far away.
Mm-hmm,
Uh, so once you get used to new layout, it feels better, at least for me.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, still, same feeling about the Apple keyboard. I was using it like for 10 years and no issues, to be honest. I mean, it's a good keyboard, but yeah, probably we're going to be hated in the comments.
Yeah, and I'm having a similar problem with the Glove 80. I don't know if it's because this thing is high, right? So it has
Yeah.
a palm rest, right? So you can put your palm in there, and that helps a
Mm,
lot, right? But since it's since it's like curved, the way that you see there,
mm,
it's
yeah.
not sitting on the desk, right? So your hand is raised a little bit, and my fingertips are starting to hurt a little bit. I don't know if it's because of circulation, right? Since the hands are facing upward a little bit. I
Yeah.
wish there was a flat. I don't know. I want to try a flat keyboard, you know, something really soft like the Apple Magic Keyboard, and see if I like that better. I think I would.
Okay.
What about AI? Do you use AI? And if you do, how do you use it?
I use it rarely, actually, but I mean, I will show it's one of the examples how I use the Alfred. So I have the integration of the ChatGPT plugin for the Alfred. So you can have a chat right inside the Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I'm using it for some, quick text evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if I wrote a script for the next video or the structure, something like this, I use it to proofread it because English is not the first language. I'm not a native speaker, so sometimes it really helps just to use an LLM to find some basic problems with the structure.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I use it to go the opposite, take a script and shrink it into the video description,
Mm-hmm.
or for example, generate the video, how it's called, YouTube text for the video.
Mm, okay.
And I use it for the coding, but I'm trying to use it rarely for coding. I mean, I'm kind of probably acting like an old person right now here, especially if I'm learning something. I'm forcing
Yeah.
myself not to use AI in this case, so I actually learn it. But if I need, for example, generate some configuration of the code for the thing that I really know how I would implement it, I just want to speed up a process, then why not? uh, so I'm trying to use it occasionally and
Mm-hmm.
not to overuse it in the way that it will harm my learning process with something.
Okay, I see. So you're not against it. You don't trust it too much, and
Kind of, yeah.
yeah, it's weird. It's difficult with the hallucinations, you know. But yeah, I get it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And are you working on any projects at the moment? You're working on
Yeah,
something.
currently, yeah, apart from the main work, I'm working on the macOS application that serves as the default web browser, and it um, helps you to work with few web browsers and decide, for example, if you're opening the link, it will show you a small pop-up with the browsers that you configured from your machine, and you can select with the keyboard shortcut, for example, in my case, if I want to open it in the Safari or in the Brave browser. On top of this, I made in some rules. So for example, you can configure like default rules for some of the domains. For example, if it's YouTube, it always goes into the Safari. If it's something else, it can go. For example, if it's a GitHub, it will go into the Brave and stuff like this. And the only thing, I mean, I know that there are many projects like this already exist. What I wanted to do is to make configuration available through the something like a dot file, because
Yeah.
all of the applications that I know, you
Are
have to
GUI.
configure them. Yeah, they GUI, and I just want to make something that I can store a configuration in the text file. Right now I'm using JSON because the configuration is pretty simple. And there are some additional tools, like for example, remove tracking attributes from the URL, expand URLs. For example, if you try to open a bit.ly link or something else, I mean the shortened link, it will try to expand it to find the destination URL and remove tracking attributes from the destination URL.
Okay.
Stuff like this. Also, the thing that I didn't find in other application is what I call pinning the browser. So for example, if I open the link and I use shift modifier to open in a specific browser, application will remember this choice for the time period that you specify. For example, in my case, it's half of the minute. So if I, for example, shift open in Safari, then all of the links without any rules will be opened into Safari for the next 30 seconds. Sometimes it's useful when I have a bunch of the links that I need to open one by one. And, every time they present it with this pop-up, it's kind of annoying. So you can kind of
Oh,
work
I
around
see.
this
I
with
see.
this. I use it from time to time. I think that's a very nice addition to this application. So yeah, this is what I'm working. I would say the features that I wanted to build for the first version are actually already done. And right now comes I would say the hardest part is to make everything prepared for the distribution. So you can upgrade the application for the new version, because I'm going to distribute outside of the App Store, which always makes it much harder than using the App Store.
Are you gonna distribute
And
it to through Brew?
eventually, yes. So for the first version, I want to make a website where you can download it and then you will get the updates when there is an update. Then eventually I want to integrate with the homebrew, so you can just install it with the homebrew, probably through Cask, and even upgrade the application from there as well. But that's probably, I want to release first and then do all of these changes after.
Okay. And is it going to be open sourced, closed source application?
It's going to be closed source application. I want to make it a paid application, but like a very cheap application. So it's, I don't know, like probably the first version will cost you $3, something like this. So at least I can cover stuff like
All the man
hosting, Apple
hours.
account.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's still some stuff that you have to pay. For example, if you want to build to be notarized, so the macOS won't scream at you when you try to open it, you will have to buy the Apple account. Same for example, to provide ability to upgrade an application, you have to host it somewhere. So it's not a lot of money, but still something. So I just want to give a very long trial period, like 1 or 2 months, so you can try it, and then buy some license, which which I need to implement as well, because I'm not going to use the in-app purchases from Apple. So I need to integrate something else, and that will require for me some time as well.
Interesting. Okay. I want to try it out. I don't want to install it yet because I want to guide, I want you to guide me through the process, but I want to wait until,
Okay.
until the time is right. What's the name of the app?
It's called Eligere.
And okay, and can people try it now or not yet?
If you want to try, there is a beta version available for download and installation. If you join the Discord, uh, there is a link to Google Drive with the DMG file, so you can download, install it, and use it
Okay.
already. So if you want to stick with this version, I mean, it fully works. I mean, there might be some issues, but in general, all the features that I just mentioned, they are already there. So if you're willing to participate in the beta and give me some feedback, I would really appreciate it. But yeah, you can find all of the links in the Discord server and just
Okay.
use
So
it.
basically join Discord and all of the information is gonna be there.
Yeah, you will
Okay.
find information in the general channel, and there is a special channel for this application, so you can find all of the details. I mean, how to download it, how to install it, uh, the description of the config file, everything there.
Okay, wonderful. All right. And what are your 3 favorite CLI tools? Let's try to move a little bit. We'll try to move a little
Okay,
bit faster.
yeah. For the CLI tools, I don't have any preferences actually. I would just name the tmux because it makes the navigation much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, neovim, I mean, that's one of the tools that I'm using daily. It's not like a CLI tool, but I mean, it lives in the terminal, so I would count it. And I cannot come up with the third one actually, so I would just tell the uh, how it's called, the ZHL, right?
Okay. Seashell.
Specifically, yeah, all my ZHL distribution, because it kind of comes with so many nice additions. So I cannot pick up something specific. Well, maybe the fuzzy finder, because I'm using it a lot. Like find the files through search through the common history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, this is because what I'm using like every day. So it's not something a specific tool, but it's more like a combination of the small things.
Okay. Yeah, and basically tmux and neovim encompass everything. You rarely, well, me personally, I rarely leave the terminal. So I don't
Yeah,
I'm not in the terminal. I'm just inside neovim almost all the time and
yeah.
switching between tmux sessions. So I don't use a lot of the CLI tools the way that I did use them before. But okay,
Mm-hmm.
good to know. Good to know. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing that. Do you have macOS applications that are your favorites? Would
yeah.
you name 3?
Um, yeah, I would say, uh, well, I can name the aerospace is one of the favorite applications right now, even that it's a bit buggier. It changed the way I manage my workspace a lot in a good way. So I
Mm-hmm.
would count this one. The second one is called Dash. And this is the application to store the documentation offline and search. And one of the points that it has a good integration with the Raycast, with the Alfred, and I will showcase how it works. So for me, it's very useful to have a quick search through the documentation for like anything actually.
But what is the
Uh,
cool? What is the tool called? You said Dash. Would you mind showing it there?
Dash.
There. Okay. So it's you
Okay, so
use it
this is how it's called.
to
Yeah.
navigate through
Um,
documentation.
yeah, so there is a ways to you just install the doc set, how they called the documentation set for most of the things. I'm trying to understand if I can filter by install, but for example, I don't know, I have a documentation of life for the Go, and yeah, I will show you how it's integrated with the
With Rick.
Alfred.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
wonderful, interesting. Okay,
It's a paid application. I'm not affiliated with this anyhow. I'm just using it for many years, and it's
okay,
very convenient application.
wonderful. Okay, and the last one.
And the last one, I thought about something. No idea, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, all right. So that's the first part of the. What is
Yeah.
this? An interview? Same thing with Josh. I don't know what it was yesterday. If it was an interview. Oh, I don't know what it was, but it's something. All right. So let's start with this one. What do you have there? Run apps, right? You
Okay,
want me to share your
so
screen?
yeah, I think right now we can go through the screen. So basically, the Alfred is the application to launch your applications. I mean, some of the features kind of through the time were integrated into Spotlight itself on the macOS, but Alfred came way before they started to integrate it into the macOS, and years before the Raycast was, I believe, even started. Because I'm using Alfred from the second version, and I bought it first time like 10 years ago. So it's a pretty old application, although an offer updates it pretty regularly. The good news thing is that if you are on the budget, for example, you cannot pay for the Raycast subscription, Alfred is one-time purchase application. So if it's something that make a difference for you, yeah, maybe you can take a look at
Oh.
this as well. But you can do many things. Let me show you first. This is the Alfred, so you can recognize the icon, and you can do many things. So the first one is launch an application. For example, if you search with something, I know, for example, Brave browser in my case, or
Okay.
Safari. So you
Okay.
just start typing, and it will show you some stuff. For example, if I will type kitty, yeah, it will open the kitty if it's already open, or it will launch it, stuff like this. The cool thing is that it's not just the application launcher. I'm thinking what would be a good example. For example, there is a Photomatter, the application that I'm using to edit photos right now. And we will talk about this soon, but you can see there are lots of this stuff. Sorry. If you hit right arrow, you will see this list. And there
Okay.
are a bunch of the stuff here you can do. So some of them are actually comes from the different workflows. For example, search within the dash, which is not relevant here. But for example, you can open the recent documents. For example, in this case, it's empty. But for example, for applications like Pages, something like this, there will be a list of the recent documents that you opened with this application.
With the application, okay.
Right. Then you can open the show package content, which actually opens the what's inside the application itself.
Okay.
To be honest, I'm not sure how it's useful for most of the people. For me, it's actually useful, especially for the applications that I'm developed, because from time to time I need to inspect them, and you can do this right inside Alfred. So for example, you can actually navigate here. That's one of the
Oh,
things. It's actually a replacement for the Finder. So you
for
can go
Finder.
into any folder. I think how about users, right? No, I'm not sure if I can. Yeah. For example, dev, um, stuff like this. I know dot god. So this is my dot files.
Okay.
You see.
Yeah, I see.
And for example, if you don't want to use terminal to navigate through most of the files, you can do the same for example, from Alfred. One of the things is that you can do this. I'm usually doing this not for the text stuff, but for multimedia and the documents. For example, to search for the PDF file and do something with this. Also, you can have, for example, a preview. Well, for the VPN, it doesn't open, but for example, you can hit the command Y, I think, and it shows the preview. But also you can do stuff, for example, open with and select an application. You can reveal in Finder. You can get the information about the file. This pops up the model view with stuff about the document. And well, if you're using the default terminal, you can actually open the terminal from here. Using kitty and tmux kind of breaks it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can, for example, copy a file to clipboard, which I'm using a lot. So for example, I search for the file, I copy the whole file into keyboard, and then I can, copy it somewhere else.
Okay. And how do you switch between applications? Do you bring up Alfred all the time, or you have shortcuts for different applications?
Yeah. So before I was using Alfred as the main, entrance point to do this. But then with the aerospace, it kind of changed a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I still launched applications through the
Through
Alfred. So
Alfred.
for example, if I
Okay.
need to, I don't know, aerospace is working out. For example, I want to open the Audacity
Mm-hmm.
to edit the audio. So I just hit it, type, enter, and it will load it eventually,
Okay.
right? And there is one thing, I mean, probably I can show it already right now since we're talking about this. So there is ability to create the workflows. I will talk about this a bit later, but there is one that I created, and this is basically launched an application. And I know that, for example, in the Raycast, there is ability to bind an application to the shortcut. You can do the same here. You just can make it through the workflow. So for example, uh, I did this when I've been recording the series, like live coding series. So for example, I have a shortcut to switch to Kitty. Same for the OBS, same for Safari. So I can check, go back and forth
Switch to
between
applications.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
But
Got
it
it.
was a long time ago. And right now I actually don't use it because I have the aerospace
Aerospace.
kind of replacing it. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Um,
You have you also have there Mac management, restart, trash, sleep, eject. So I guess you
yeah.
bring it up and you have those options there.
Yeah, so for example, you can, well, I'm not going to hit it right now, but you can restart the laptop from here. You
Mm-hmm.
can, for example, put it to sleep or sleep displays only. There is a difference. You can show trash, or you can, how it's called, clear, not clean, empty trash. So this is what I hit a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So if you remove substance on the trash,
Okay.
and there are system. So there are a bunch of the things you can see that you
Okay.
can enable,
Configure
disable.
so they show
Yeah.
up. Okay.
So
Okay.
for example, you can confirm for the restart of the shutdown. It just makes the working with the hardware a bit easier.
Oh, I see. Let me quickly show to my screen so we can just go one feature at a
Yeah.
time and people can see and compare both of them, right? So the same thing with Raycast. I'm sorry. I want to switch to an app. I don't use this because I'm gonna explain why later. But if I want to bring up what DaVinci, can search for it and I can open it here. If I go here to command actions, you have these options as well here, show and finder, show package contents,
Mm,
you mentioned as well. And I don't know, it has a
okay.
lot of stuff in the menu, even to uninstall the app. I don't use this, to be honest. I rarely use this because I use something else. And what was
Okay.
the other one? Oh, the system actions, restarts. Can restart, shut down, recycle bin, no
Oh,
trash,
empty
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 trash. Yeah.
trash.
Yeah, so far it seems that they're, uh
Yeah.
hand in
Same.
hand. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on then to what we have next. You have
Yeah.
their file search as well, right?
Yeah, so it's actually the file search and the file actions. I mean, the file actions I kind of showed a bit, but for example, if you open the Alfred and you hit the enter or hit the space one more time, it kind of turns into file search mode. And for example, I can search for something. It's, I would say, uses something, probably uses the fuzzy search as well, but you can find any file on your computer. You can configure folders where you want to search and where you don't want to search. So you can have exclusions. And then again, if you hit right arrow, you can, for example, you can view even a file here. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, this is the image. It uses, I believe it uses the preview built in inside. So if it's the PDF document, you'll see the content of the PDF document. But then again, you can do stuff like reveal in Finder, copying the file to clipboard. But another thing is, for example, you can email this file to somebody else and it will open your default web email client for
Oh,
this.
you can email it from there directly.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I think if I will open it, it will launch the mail.app. Or for example, in my case, I'm using Beer as the note-taking application. I can send the file into Beer and create a new note from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
So this is very interesting, and I can just open this or again open with something else, and it shows the list of the applications that I would, I can send this into. For example, if I would like to open it with a GIMP, then you can do it right from here.
Okay, okay. Let me switch to my screen and let's see what we have here. I have a key map for this, but there is this file search. I think it's this one, but I just have a key map. So if I hit that key map, brings this up and I can see the files here.
Okay.
Hopefully I'm not gonna share anything sensitive here. No. Yeah, and you have the menu as well. Command K, open, show and finder, quick look. Share. I don't know if you can share with sharing an email or something, but there is this what is it, share thing. I'm not sure if it works or not. I have never used it. I don't see email there, so I don't think it works. But it's pretty similar then. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And file actions. Oh, that's what we just saw, right? File actions.
Yeah.
Okay. And internet search. That's the next one that we have here.
I think, this is the basic. If you just type, something, then it gives you you can configure what search engine you want to use by default. For example, in my case, when I want to search something, it gives me 3 options: DuckDuckGo, Yandex, and GitHub. But for example, if you can configure by yourself any, because you call it search engine, but it could be any website that provides search. For example, if I want to search, I have a special keyword for the GitHub. For example, I can search for you on the GitHub. Here's all of the things, and it's basically using the search and a query param. Same, for example, I'm buying a lot of the stuff on the Amazon. For example, I created the special one for the keyboard. And the way it works, so there is a web search one, and you can actually add, so for example, in my case, there is the Amazon that was created by me. So there is a website, the specific version of the Amazon it's local here in Germany. And then there is a query param, and the query is actually what you type.
Okay.
And that's it. So you put it here, and it just passes it into and opens in the web browser of your choice.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
And you can define as many as you want. Actually, when you install, there is like lots of them. I just removed and leave the only thing that I'm using. So for example, I can search specifically something on the YouTube. The only difference, I believe, with the Raycast is that there is no integrated results. So it just opens the web page with the search.
I see. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let me share mine. Something similar. I don't use this too much and I should use it more often, but it does have a search thingy as well. So if I type, I have a key map for it, right? So if I type that key map, it's going to directly bring this up and I can search for this. And it's just going to take me to the browser directly, right? But I don't use it too much. It's available. It's nice because it allows you to go to A
Yeah.
Google search, because that's what I use the most, right? Google search.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And you also mentioned there Finder alternative. That's what we just
Yeah.
saw as well,
Yeah.
right?
We discussed it before. Yeah.
Okay. You use it as a clipboard manager as well?
Yes. So the thing is that it actually has the built-in clipboard manager. So for example, if you start, no, usually it's just CLI for me, and it shows the clipboard results. So I mean, I cleaned the clipboard manager before I call and just copy pasted some stuff into this, but you can
Yeah.
see that it shows the text and the source
Mm.
application from where it was copied. So for example, this is the link to my channel from the Safari. This is the URL we're using right now to make this recording. This is the stuff that I copied from the neovim through the
Mm-hmm.
terminal. And actually, the cool thing that if you have this, if you correctly configured the neovim's clipboard
Mm-hmm.
that exposes it to the OS clipboard,
Mm-hmm.
it it integrates with the Alfred as well because it just monitors the clipboard and takes everything from here. So this is actually the reason why I still did not learn properly how to use the neovim's registers to
Mm-hmm.
copy paste stuff
Mm-hmm.
from the history, because usually I just copy and then I just get used to use this clipboard management and just copy it from here. So
Oh.
I can copy multiple things right now. And
Mm-hmm.
then, for example, if I would go, I don't know, here, if I would like to insert something, I can just type here. And it has even the shortcuts. For example, if I want to this one, I can hit Command 5 and that's it.
Okay.
So,
So you paste
and you
directly
can,
from Alfred to neovim and to everywhere else, right? That is your
yeah,
central.
yeah. So for me, it just makes it much easier, or I just got used to it a long time ago,
Yeah.
and I use it, like a lot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is the built-in into Alfred. The only thing that you just need to. Probably there is a shortcut how to launch it, but for me, it's fine just to write CLI. And there is actually a way to create snippets. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
use them. So for
Oh,
me,
you
it's
don't.
mostly the clipboard management.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Now this other thing does have that as well. Let me see. Where's my screen? Here's my screen. Um, what is it? Clipboard. Clipboard history, right?
Okay.
I don't pay for Raycast because they have a pro
Mm.
version, as you can see here.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that I do is just in the free one. Um,
Okay.
but in the clipboard history, same thing. Yeah, I can see the items
Okay.
here. You can get a preview of this video. This
Mm.
is just text, um,
Yeah.
URLs and all that. So I don't use this clipboard. I don't remember why I switched to this one. I
Mm.
shouldn't be showing these links, I think. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
They will expire.
Yeah, they will expire. Yeah. So I don't know. I just switched to this one. This is the one that
Okay.
I don't know. I prefer to use, but it's an option and Raycast works pretty good. A lot of people do love it as
Mm.
well. So it seems that we have Alfred was there first. So I'm pretty sure that it
Yeah.
was the inspiration for Raycast for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Actually, I forgot to tell that. I mean, I paid for Alfred a long time ago, but most of the features are actually free. I think what you get from the pro version is workflows and maybe
Mm-hmm.
something else, but all the stuff that we covered so far is free.
Oh, okay. Okay. You don't need to pay for it, right? You can get
No,
most of the features. Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I think the only thing that you have to pay is if you want to use custom workflows that we will
Okay.
cover soon.
Okay.
And well, if you want to develop your own as well, but everything else is, I think, free.
Great. Okay. Then next we have the calculator. You use it like just a regular calculator, like
Yeah, it's just
operations there.
so stuff like this.
Oh, okay.
It's just very convenient to do it from here, like do some basic calculations
Yeah.
if needed.
Yeah.
That's it.
I also use that calculator as well. But I have discovered that it's too ephemeral. Is that a word? It's too temporary for
Mm,
me, right? I sometimes I need to
mm,
grab a result and I can copy it to my clipboard from the calculator, right? Let's say that I do here 2 plus 2, whatever. If I hit enter, it's gonna copy it to my clipboard and I can paste it somewhere, right?
mm,
But sometimes I need to have the procedure for that operation. So I came up with something in
mm.
neovim. I'm just gonna promote myself a little bit here. But you know, you could find it useful. Some other people could find it useful as well. So let's say that you need to do something. I need to calculate this, right? And you just type the symbol here. I type 2 plus 2. Oh, let's say that I do it this way. 2 plus 2 is 4 divided 2. And I hit here
Okay.
Alt 3. Notice that it
Mm-hmm.
gives me the result,
Yeah.
right? But I keep this, right? If I
Mm.
use Raycast, I lose that, and I have to.
Yep.
Sometimes I have to type it again, and I don't know. It's useful, but I just rather do it here
Okay.
in neovim in case that you want to implement it. I have a really short video. It's just basically a key map, right? So
Okay.
I think it works well. And
Yep.
what else? Forcing the US keyboard. That's what we have on the
Yeah.
list next.
Yeah. This is the small thing that just helps if you. I mean, I have to use two keyboard layouts
Hmm.
because, like, I do all of the things, like the work on the English, but my primary language isn't English, so
English,
I'm,
yeah.
using two different layouts.
Hmm.
But since most of the time I need an English one, there is a cool way to force a specific keyboard and it overrides how the macOS does it, because macOS kind of tries to remember the language that was used. Even when you restart an application, I found it not very convenient, so I just used the English, well, specifically US version of the English most of the time, and when I need, I switch back to Russian.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see.
But yeah, if you use only one language, probably you don't need this. If you need to use few, then probably it might help you. The
Yeah.
second one is this Dash integration. So I show you the Dash application itself, but the cool thing is that there is an integration into like even in the VS Code, and I think in the neovim they have a plugin, but I use it from the Alfred. For
Hmm.
example, I can search for the CV pixel buffer, which is a thing from the Apple's documentation. I hit enter, and it opens the documentation for it in here, and I can inspect it, search from it. But for example, I can define even the language or the doc set that I want to use. For example, if I want to search specifically through the Go, I can define it and open it from here. So yeah, I like the fact that, for example, you can search through all of the things. I know, for example, if I type diff, you see that it shows me like, the Go, the Python, the OpenCV, like all of this stuff. But if I want to specify, for example, if I want to search specifically through Apple's documentation, I can do this as well. Yeah, I think this is the very useful thing. And this is actually how I use Dash most of the time. I never open the application by myself. I just open it through the Alfred, and this is the way
Oh,
to go.
so I can load there like the Kubernetes documentation, for example, and Dash is gonna
I
have it.
think, yes. Let's take a look. I believe so. If you go to, I don't know how. No, well, for sure they have Docker. You can see
Oh, okay.
uh, for Docker. Okay, for the Kuber, seems like they don't have, but there is the. Oh no, there is a community version of the Kubernetes, so you can actually download it.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
So then
So you
let's
don't have
take a
to be
look.
going to each website. You have all your documentations in a single place.
Yeah.
That
So
is
for
quite
example,
useful.
I don't know, get plots. I don't know, plots. I'm not sure. I never saw this. Okay. So
Okay.
there is something. Yeah. But
Interesting.
so
Yeah.
basically, yes, the only thing that the user wants are usually less polished, but
Mm-hmm.
still very good. So for example, yeah, I think, for example, AWS CLI, if you need this for some reason. So, and even from here, there are, just take a look at the list.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Plus,
It's a lot. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. Kill applications. I can also do that in
Oh,
Raycast.
yeah. Here it's done through the custom workflow. So it's not an integration of, I mean, it's not a feature of the Alfred itself. There is a
Mm-hmm.
workflow that does it, but the cool
Mm-hmm.
thing is that you can search for the application, for example, Safari, and then you kill it from here.
Okay.
I have to do it from time to time because some of the application, just hangs,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you have to force kill them instead of opening the activity monitor, or instead of doing the same from the terminal, which it's, I don't know, in my experience, not that convenient just to, type
Yeah. It's
Safari,
faster.
not even,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's way faster. Yeah, same thing. It happens to me with Finder sometimes. Sometimes Finder, I don't know, just acts weird and I have to kill it. So I just come here to
yeah,
this. It doesn't come by default in Raycast. It's an integration that you need to install, free of
okay,
course. You just install it and I just kill process. It's gonna show all of them to me. If I look for Finder, for example, I can kill it. So similar, we could say quite
yeah,
similar. Yep, yep.
quite similar, yeah.
The Dash integration, we already looked at it. ChatGPT, you use that as well?
Yeah, so again, I will show it from the workflow. So this is the workflow that you can install. And this is actually how the workflows look like. You can create your own. So it's basically, like a combination of the writing the code and the visual programming. I have my own, very simple. For example, this one is pretty simple. Just connect the dots. And yeah, this one, I will talk about this soon. But there is the same for the ChatGPT, and it looks like this. So there is a window where you type something,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, and it works through the API. So I'm not going to open the settings because it shows the token.
Your key, yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, but in general, you can select the model that you want to use. It's not a good, approach to use it with the code because the input field is rather small, and it's not get expanded. So if you continue to type more, it just goes on the right.
Okay, I see.
But for the small things, I find it very useful. And the interesting thing, at least in the way that I use ChatGPT, since I don't use it very often, I use it through API, and it's much cheaper than paying
The
$20
$20,
per
yeah.
month, because I don't use it very often. I think I paid last time $10, and it was 3 months ago, and I'm still using this $10.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're using it a lot, that probably, or you're using, actually, you can use DALL-E from the API as well. So for example, I tried to generate an icon for the Eligere, which not a good icon, but anyway, I mean, you can use it. You can have an integration with the Alfred. It uses the API as well, and it's just much cheaper.
Yeah.
I think the problem that you don't have access to some of the models. I mean, they release models to the API a bit after, once they release it through the chat version. But yeah, if you don't use AI too often, but you want to use it, you just need to install the integration, provide the API key, and add some funds, and probably it will cost you less than paying the subscription.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Raycast has something similar. Let me just switch to this screen real quick. AI chat, but notice that it's in the pro version only.
Yeah.
I don't pay for pro. I haven't used it. A lot of people have told me that it's not bad, that I should give it a try because you have access to different models, not only ChatGPT, but Claude and I don't know which other ones. Those two are the main ones. I don't have any experience there, so I cannot.
Okay.
Yeah, I just pay for the regular ChatGPT. But I don't know. I was thinking about getting this pro thing. I don't know. We'll see. All right.
Okay.
And you have next there OCR.
Yeah, this is the optical character recognition. There is again another workflow. It's called OCR, and this is basically when you launch it, you need to select an area, and it makes a screenshot and recognizes it and copies the text into the clipboard. So you can see this text was, got from the image.
Okay. And that is in Alfred directly, right?
Yes. So you just launch the OCR workflow. It starts this, the rectangle selection for the screenshot. So you select something, and it recognizes it and puts into the clipboard. So
okay.
here it
Got
is.
it.
So for example, it's very useful when you need to, take some text from the images, which for some reasons I have to do more pretty often.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is very useful thing.
Okay. Yeah, you were gonna show something?
Okay, that seems the same. No, you can show the Raycast.
Oh, Raycast, I don't use it. But I was just quickly checking here if there were any options, and it seems that there is. I have no experience with this. I don't know if it works or not. It has a few downloads, 2,800 downloads. But what I do for that, specifically for OCR, that I use CleanShot, and it has this capture text OCR, and I have a key map. Yeah. So yeah, it's I don't use Raycast. I use something else, but it seems that it's available in Raycast as well. Okay, so emoji search. That's the next one you have there.
Yeah, this is the simplest. Okay, I need to refresh the API. Okay, let's check. Will it work now? No. Okay, I will figure out it later, but basically, there is a way to, I think this one is the standard UI
the
to search
emojis,
through the emoji, which is very weird to use.
Yep.
Yeah. So there is an integration into Alfred, again, through the separate workflow that uses, I think, some web API to get all of the possible emojis, and you can just search through them.
Okay.
Yeah, I just find it very convenient and much faster to use instead of this default weird UI.
Yeah, that one sucks for sure.
Yeah.
There is something similar here, I think. Yeah, no, there is something similar. But I have a key map. I just don't remember which one. Hyper RE, I think I have. Yep. And I just search here for whatever I need to search.
Same.
Yeah. It's basically kind of the same. Okay. And that comes with Alfred by default.
For this one, now there is again a workflow that you can download. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, there are a few things, but yeah. And the last thing to cover, there are two made by me very simple workflows, but just an example of what you can do. The first one is you can create a workflow that will contain, your shortcuts to switch to the application. For example, if you don't want to use the window manager, but you want to hotkey some application, for example, I have a hotkey to launch the Kitty, and this is very simple. You just, let me show. So there are a bunch of the things, just drop down that you can add and connect them. So for example, this one is to provide the hotkey. Then you connect it with something that is called launch application. You just select an application you want to launch, or applications actually, and you can create the key map to launch all of them. The second one is, well, it's called it's actually the burn xcode. The problem with xcode, it generates a lot of the caches, and from time to time you have to clean up them. Well, actually, pretty often you have to clean up them. So instead of going into the specific directory, which is buried inside the developers folder, I just have this, two commands that run one after another. The first one is remove the derived data. The second one removes the SPM cache, which is the package manager for Swift. And then it does two things. It posts the default macOS notification and plays the sound. So for example, I can, do this, and probably you won't hear the sound or see the notification, but eventually I will hear the sound that all of the caches are deleted. It happens right now, and I can try to rebuild an application once again. So that's
like
it.
custom workflows.
Yeah, and you can do like many things with them. I use mostly the provided. I had more, but after some time I just stopped using them. For example, I used integration with the things, which is the to-do list. I used integration with the music application, but I switched to Spotify some time ago, and were something else. And for example, there is a version I'm using the beer, and there is a workflow to create the notes from the Alfred, search for the notes from the Alfred. So it's, the good thing, there is even an integration with the 1Password.
So, the 1Password.
So yeah, so actually on the Alfred website, there are lots of many already implemented workflows that you can search for. Then you can search on the GitHub. Many of the things you can find on the GitHub as well. And the cool thing that most of them are open source, so you can check that there is no shitty code there, or at least ask ChatGPT to do it for you if you don't understand the code. But yeah, this is how I use the Alfred. I think this is the most used application.
The ones that you use the most.
Yeah. I checked the stats, and on average, I launched the Alfred around 40 times per day.
Oh, it's a lot. Okay, I see. Yeah. All right. Let me just quickly show you how I use Raycast, because a lot of people have been asking me. I'm just gonna take 5 minutes. Okay, so what I do the most is bookmarks. So if I type a key map that I have, again, key map, it just shows me the list of bookmarks, and I can go to them. I don't manage my bookmarks in the browser. I have another application. It's called Raindrop. So I just manage them there. But I can launch a bookmark from here, and it's gonna open it in the browser, right? So very quickly I can just jump to my different websites. That's one of them. Another one that I use is snippets, and let me show you why and how. Let's say that I need to type something. Let's say that I need to share something with ChatGPT. Usually I share code with it, right? Let's say that I have some code in there that I want to share, like this, right? So I just type here GPT, semicolon GPT, then a space, and notice that it added it as a code block, right? I also need to share my YouTube channel sometimes with people, so I just type the same semicolon YouTube space, and it expands it, right? Or my LinkedIn profile, it expands it as well. Twitter, same thing. And look at this one, it's really cool. If I need to paste an image in GitHub, I already have a discussion here ready. Let me grab an image. I already have an image in the clipboard. This one, if I type imgc and I hit space, it's going to paste this HTML code. It's gonna paste what I had in the clipboard here in the source section, because you can specify that, and it's gonna move to the line below. So that's done with snippets. Those are the ones that I use the most, right? I have a lot configured, but I don't use them. I just use these basically. The YouTube, probably people have seen it in the videos. Or if I want to share a video, I just click here and I can just get a preview, copy the link for the video, that stuff. Something quite interesting that I have been using is this. Let me show you something real quick. I'm just gonna go back to my terminal. Let's say that I need to grab one of the symbols, right? This search font, awesome. It's an extension, right? Well, let's say that, for example, I need to grab this one. I'm just gonna do Command K, copy icon glyph. I paste it. Look at that, right in the terminal. That's one that I use. Emojis, we already went through that. Reminders, that's something that I recently discovered. So if I type remind, because I configure that word, remind, I hit space, and I'm just gonna type a reminder here. For example, meets with Roman in, I don't know, 1 hour.
Okay.
Get ready for the meeting, right? And if I hit enter, notice that if I go to my reminders app in macOS, it created the reminder at that time. It's 11 right now, so it created it at 12, right? So I do think that is kind of useful a little bit. There's also this color picker, which allows you to just pick a color. Useful. You can get the code for the color. Search in Google. We already went through that one. And a lot of people ask me in the comments why I don't switch apps with Raycast, because you can do it here. If I want to go to Ghosty, I can do it that way. There's other ways. To me, it's just not as efficient as the way that I currently switch between apps, because I just have a key map, right, to go between each one of them. And I just find it faster, right? So I can just quickly switch between them. So I use what is called sub layers. That's why, and I don't get that with Raycast. I have a lot of different key maps, not only for applications, but to do basically even to switch the scenes in OBS, right? I'm using layers there. So that's how I'm switching between scenes. That's why I don't use Raycast for that, right? So the final question that I have here for you is why? Is it because you paid for it and you just want to you don't want to give up on Alfred, Roman? Be honest.
I just, even that's what we just saw, it feels like, at least for the way that I'm using the Alfred, they are the same.
Yeah, they're the same.
So for me, it's like doesn't make any sense to switch from the tools that I'm using for a long time, and I got used to it. So there are some things that might be better. I believe probably Raycast has some features that probably Alfred is missing. But since it's the tool that I'm using one of the most daily for everything, migration to the new tool would be painful. I mean, I will get used to the new one, but it will take some time. I just don't want to do this right now. Maybe at some point when, I will try all of the plugins for the neovim and I got bored, then I will switch to the Raycast, but
when you're
it's not the right time.
It's like if someone would come right now and tell me, hey, Helix is faster than neovim, which people say it is because it's a standalone application, I think. But I'm so used to neovim right now, and I know that it would be really painful for me to switch from neovim to Helix. I probably would not do it. But if I retire and I don't have anything to do, and I have a lot of money and I can just spend my time however I want, I could probably give it a try. But it makes sense. Alfred works for you, so that's why you stick to it. You're used to it from years, so right. Wonderful. All right. So any final words, anything else? Just for the people that is still watching, remember, guys, to go and Roman's channel, subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to leave all of the links in the video description so people can find you there if they want to try your application out. They'll be able to find all of the stuff there as well. Anything else? Any final words?
No, I think thanks again for having me here. We've been planning again this call for a couple of weeks, and I'm glad that we finally managed to do this. I hope we will have another one, maybe in 1 or 2 months,
Yep.
with the you trying my application and having all sorts of the problems, because it's always like this. When you
Yep.
need
Yep.
to do
Yep.
a presentation for somebody, everything breaks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was a very pleasant conversation. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, thanks for having me here.
Yeah. Looking forward to the next one when I try your application, Roman. So thanks to you for showing up, and I'll see you next time then. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.